Hi, I'm Stan.
And I'm Rhonda.
And we're Over the Hill Adventures. We had just recently returned from Columbus, Ohio.
And we'd like to share our travel experience with you for those who may have any travel concerns about flying still.
Welcome back. We want to just tell you a little bit about our experience. We have flown with Southwest during the pandemic, and travel now is just a little bit different.
Yeah, we got a chance to fly back last June of 2020, to go to Ohio and see our family back there, our son and his wife and his daughter. Well, in June it was just one daughter. Now we have two granddaughters. But we had to fly back again. We wanted to go see them and meet the newest addition, our granddaughter. So we just thought we would share our travel experiences. We got some video, some things, because we know a lot of you haven't flown yet and maybe a little apprehensive about it. So we just figured we would share that.
Yeah, and we realize that almost half of America now has been vaccinated, and maybe things have changed a little bit, and we're not sure. I know we have not been vaccinated yet, and we're still waiting for our turn. However, in December I did have COVID, and Rhonda has not.
It was when you had COVID. They said, I asked if there was any reason should I have been tested, and they said no need to get tested, just quarantine. And so that's what I did, and kind of kicking myself thinking I wished I had gotten tested just so I could have known. And then we were going to do our antibody test before we flew, but we didn't, because we thought, well, it's only in your system, what, like 90 days, something like that. So if he had it in December and we flew end of March, it wouldn't have, shown up. So anyway, we did fly back to see our son and daughter-in-law, and they both been vaccinated. So we, took our precautions and all that, especially meeting the new grandbaby. Gosh, we were just back today, so forgive us, we're a little foggy brained.
But we realize that America out there may be still a little concerned about flying during COVID.
Yeah, but gosh, I honestly, just in a nutshell, I don't think there's any reason to. Now, of course, we did a domestic flight, so we just flew out of McCarran Airport in Las Vegas, and we did what we would normally do. We showed up 2 hours early. We were fortunate my parents live out there, so my dad drove us and dropped us off. So that was super easy, if you can Uber it or just get somebody to just drop you off. So we showed up 2 hours early, and a couple things that we did was we had our boarding passes ready on our phones. And Stan was able to just do the express bag drop.
And that made things really, really super easy. You didn't have to wait in the line for your tickets. That made it real easy. You just walked up, you got your, and you checked your bags. And we went right to the express bag, and we dropped off our bags. And we went to, at that point, to the checkpoint.
Yeah, and I don't think that's anything different than there's been in the past, but they do have the little dots on the floor, the social distancing dots. They do ask that people, social distance, but I didn't really notice anybody doing that. So if that's a concern of anyone's, you can always gauge your distance for the person in front of you, but the person behind isn't always paying that much attention to.
But in the video, you are going to see, as soon as you enter the airport, that everybody is masked. And everybody is wearing a mask.
Absolutely.
One thing that when we flew in June, the middle seat on the airplane was open. And
mandatory
that nobody. So we had one seat in between us, of course, because we're a couple, we could sit together. So it wasn't really a full plane. It was almost a really sparse plane. This time, to our surprise,
every seat was taken. It was a full plane, so which was good to see. Actually, I felt like it was kind of neat.
I really don't want to jump ahead and give TSA the props that they deserve. They were fast. They were efficient.
Very fast.
They were super, super friendly for whatever reason.
They really were, and you come through, gosh, when we left, there was really hardly anybody, so I do think arriving early is a nice less stress for you. So, but when we came through, the only time they had you pull down, I think when we went right to that TSA checkpoint right before you put your bags on the little conveyor belt, they have you pull your mask down and then they identify you that way. But other than that, your mask is up. They were super friendly though.
It was really, really neat. And for those of you who don't know, that pretty soon you have to have the real ID in order to even fly, with the little star. And
22, I think, 2022.
And we already had that, but yet they do make sure that they identify you with your identification.
Yeah.
And so that was really important. Well, we got through the gate and we started walking down, and Rhonda noticed a pet relief area, which we thought was kind of odd because we've never really seen it.
I never saw that before. We weren't traveling with our dogs. We left them at Grandma's, but
those of you that have
so I had to get video of it.
Yeah, those of you who travel with their dogs or have service dogs, that was kind of Rhonda definitely got a little, and we're going to show you that too. So
you probably, if you've traveled with pets before, you've seen this, I'm sure, but I just hadn't, and it stood out to me like, oh, we could have brought our dogs.
So off to the plane we had. Now that it only took us only 15 minutes to get through. I think you've said that before.
Yeah.
And so now we have almost like an hour and a half to wait.
So we're at the McCarran Airport in Vegas.
Yeah.
We can do it while we walk. And then we're off to Ohio. We have flown once since COVID back in June, and then this is March of 2021, and we're heading out. We just went through the TSA and got all checked in and all cleared. So
they are so fast and efficient right now. It's like boom, you get blown through. It's all good, good.
We arrived 2 hours early still, and man, that took a whole whopping like 15 minutes just to get our bags checked and through TSA. And now what do we do? What do we do for an hour and a half? So, all right, well, we'll see what adventures we find.
And of course, in Las Vegas, we got to play a few games, and that was a little bit of fun.
Yeah, Stan had a few dollars burning a hole in his pocket, so he won big. He won $4.
Yeah,
and then put the $4 right back in.
Yeah, why not? It's all about all about the fun. However, then we get on the plane, and for sure this time,
full plane,
full capacity, and we kind of showed you that a little bit, and it just seemed, I guess my own opinion, the mask, I can't wait till we don't have to wear a mask anymore. It's very hard because you can't smile at people, and there's just this kind of a social disconnect when you're wearing the mask, because you can't really have that eye-to-eye contact. People can't really read your face, and it's just that's the sad part about it. However, everybody seemed to be in good spirits, and everybody was excited to fly. Kids were flying, elderly were flying, everybody was flying.
It was an excellent experience, actually. It was no problem. On our way back, a little different story as far as just the plane wasn't full. We flew from a Saturday to a Saturday, but which was nice. And then they had the head flight attendant over the speaker saying that it's not a full plane. Please spread out. We recommend that two to a row, which was kind of nice because we were like, oh, we were hoping, just to have the whole row to ourselves. So as people were coming in, they're saying, we recommend 2 to a row, please spread out. So we did on the way home, had the middle seat open, and but they don't serve alcohol. They're not serving coffee right now. They just keep it simple. And we did have a 4-hour flight both ways, so it was a couple snacks and water and soda and stuff like that. But other than that, it was easy. So if anybody's out there with any travel concerns for domestic flights, now on the other hand, our daughter just flew back, got to finally celebrate her honeymoon after being married last year. She was one of those that was affected by COVID. Her original wedding date was supposed to be April 11th of 2020. And 3 weeks before, and they're in California, 3 weeks before the state was shut down, and she had to cancel her wedding. Ended up still getting married March 27th of 2020, pushed it up a little bit just to be married because we didn't want them to be alone. They weren't planning on living together before the wedding, so they went ahead and got married, and it was nice, gave our hearts a comfort knowing they were together and locked down together. And so anyway, long story short, they got to experience their honeymoon finally and flew to St. Lucia. Little different story. They had to prove like 3 days before their flight that they had a negative COVID test, and I think on the way home they had to also prove before they flew internationally.
It's interesting, because I had a friend also that flew to Cancun. It appears that to leave the United States, you've got to provide that negative COVID test. Which is interesting. But to return, either the hotels, they actually provide testing so you can return to the United States, which you don't have to do that for domestic flights. So that's kind of thing. Yeah. I was just sitting here and I'm thinking about, it was basically uneventful. I think I do want to mention there was one small conflict on the plane while we were boarding, and that was a gentleman who was trying to reserve an entire row for his family. And I go, out of respect, don't do that. I mean, that just causes issue. Yeah, it caused a little issue on the plane, and everybody was a little angst after that. Yeah. But it appeared that this is the way I look at it. He bought an early bird pass and didn't for the rest of his family.
Right.
And then what he did then is just tried to reserve a whole row for his family.
Yeah, on a full flight.
On a full flight.
I wouldn't put myself through that. I can't even imagine just trying to do that. And it did cause a little upset with a few people. But anyhow, but I mean, other than that, I mean, we carried our sanitizer with us too. I would say I felt that, and Southwest also really, they do a thorough cleaning between each flight, and I felt super safe. I guess I don't necessarily like that word safe, but I did feel that they prioritized the passengers, and as the airport did as well. I felt like they were taking all the precautions, and then it was just really up to you if you abided by the 6-foot distancing, making sure you wear your mask, all that. But
I think for me, I felt that this flight, I don't know, what do you think? I think for me, it was a normal. The flight was back to normal.
Yeah.
All except for wearing the mask.
Through the whole flight, you had to wear
it. Through the entire flight, unless you're eating. And of course, there's some people on the plane that eat the whole time, so they're not wearing the mask the whole time. But
don't talk about me like that. I'm right here.
But other than that, I think it's flying is back to normal, and I don't think we need to be afraid of flying. I really, really don't.
No, and I'm not one that has loved flying, and I get a little angst before I get on a plane, period, so it doesn't matter. So this just was an added concern, and I would say it ended up not being one at all. So we hope this was helpful. I really do. That's our intention, that we can just kind of give you guys a little insight into what it would be like if you guys want to travel again and see family members that you haven't seen for a while.
This is kind of different for us because we're usually traveling with our travel trailer, but we did talk about it, and we were trying to say, well, do we want to drive back, or do we want to take the travel trailer? Just fiscally, it was a lot better just to fly. It was a lot cheaper just to fly.
And that's the thing, flights are still pretty reasonable right now, so
Which
they're
is a
not
really
bad.
surprise. So
yeah,
I think people need to get out and fly again,
Yeah.
get out and travel again, and it's good, folks. It's good, you know. And we've talked about this before. I have underlying conditions, and I know a lot of people out there have underlying conditions, but I think we're ready to get back to the normal. So
I am.
we sure
Yeah.
hope that this helps you, and it's just a
Absolutely.
little bit different video for us, but we thought it was important to put it out there for you.
Yes, absolutely. If you have any comments, questions, please let us know down in the comment section below, and we would appreciate if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. If you'd like to subscribe to kind of follow our adventures, it's our hope that we can encourage and inspire those who are over the hill, like us, to get active and fill your lives with new adventures. And we appreciate you following along with us, and it encourages us to continue our adventures, to seek new adventures as well.
And this is Over the Hill Adventures. Till the next time.
God bless.